Good morning, and welcome to the nation's greatest book show. I'm Karsten Beathers, your host, and today we will be talking about the wonderful book Unbroken, which is not just a book, it's a true story. Now, Unbroken is written by Laura Hillenbrand. It's a non-fiction title, and it is in the intermediate class because of its easy vocabulary but complex story. Today we have Louis Zamperini, the main character of the book, here to share his experiences with us. Louis, take it away.
Well, hi. I am, as Carson said, Louis Zamperini. I feel like I should give you all an overview of my story. So, to begin, I was raised in Torrance, California, born and raised, and throughout my life there I became a runner. And, as a runner, I did it to be free of myself and to better myself. And as I progressed, I eventually went to the Olympics. However, thanks to our time period, I was drafted and I joined the military in the Air Force. And as luck would have it, one day my plane was shot down. Me and my compatriots floated across the ocean for weeks on end until we came across a Japanese patrol. They fired at us, they shot at us, but eventually they told their people where we were, and we came across land and they captured us. For weeks, months, I lived under the Japanese and just tried to survive as best I could. And at times it was hard, but I made it through. And I've learned a lot about myself and other people along the way.
Louis, how long were you out there on that boat?
It's hard to say, Carson, but I believe I was out there for a little more than a month.
Oh my gosh. Did you have any food?
We had food at the beginning, but one of my men, his name was Mac, he got a bit nervous and he ate all of our rations on the first night. We had to survive by picking fish out of the ocean and killing any birds that landed on our raft.
What was the hardest part about this whole experience, the POW camps and all?
I think the hardest part was believing that I could survive. Because, you're there, you're battered, you're broken, you're beaten, and these people, they want you to lose yourself. And they did that to a lot of people. And I think only because of my belief that I could survive this is what kept me going. And more than once, you lose yourself a bit when you're in there. I think more than once I heard Sweet Song of Angels, and I don't know if it was real, if it was me losing my mind, but
Oh my gosh.
that song kept me going.
That is crazy. Well, as the book title would suggest, you're here with us today, so obviously you are just an extremely strong individual, and we're proud to call you an American hero.
I owe my strength to God. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right. As a bonus to this amazing interview, we have a small rendition of a fight between Watanabe and Louis. Enjoy. Welcome back. Now we have Professor Dominic Holstrom from the Harvard Department of History. Professor Holstrom, what was your favorite part of the book?
Well, I definitely found the B-24s near the 1/3 part of the book. I thought they were very interesting, and the dogfights were really detailed to my historical expertise. So I'll just start with the B-24s. The B-24s were an agile bomber. They were meant to be smaller than the B-17 and make quick strikes. And we also learned in the book that Louis Zamperini got attacked by Zeros, and Zeros are essentially the fastest turning dogfighting plane there was in World War II. Zeros have many roles. They can play support, or they can be a bomber in many situations.
So Dominic, what kind of cultural and social implications happened during this time?
Well, certainly for the soldiers, they're very tired. They're constantly pushing forth because this was like near the end of World War II with Japan. We were pushing them to their final straws. We're on their home territory now, so we were just hopping island to island. And these soldiers really got breaks because we needed to take over Japan as fast as we could, so we could also take the Western Front and Berlin.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much for coming with us today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Now we have Professor Sai Rashanaganda from Harvard Institute of Literature. Sai, thank you for coming with us.
Thank you for that flattering introduction.
Sai, so I have a few questions for you today. Why would somebody read this book? Connect with our audience here. Why would they want to read this book?
This book features the main theme of resilience. When I read the book, it was so surprising to me that this was actually nonfiction, because this is a 1 in a trillion story. So it featured resilience in a way that was so interesting to the modern reader, and the modern reader couldn't connect because Laura Hillenbrand described the book in such a fashion. She did extensive research for many years to write such a craft, and it's truly inspirational because Louis is driven to the depths of hell through 1, being adrift at sea for more than 40 days, and then 2, for being tortured in Japanese prisoner of war camps by soldiers, namely Watanabe, who, he punched him for hundreds of times over, and was kind of sadistic, honestly.
So, Dr. Rashanaganda, it sounds like there's a lot of reasons to read this book. Mainly motivation, inspiration, and altogether just really an amazing book written by an amazing author. Just a truly inspiring story.
Truly, it is. One more example of resilience, it starts with when Mac eats all of the rations that, in one fell swoop almost, that Louis and Phil need to survive, and they're adrift at sea with no food. They're reduced to eating fish, raw fish, pelicans, I think, and I think they ate shark liver as well.
Oh my gosh.
So and then they're rescued by Japanese, who then immediately started to abuse him. Louis was an Olympic runner, and he was reduced to 80 pounds, and that BMI would be so low, it would be almost near death kind of BMI there. And this insistence of maybe Louis' fate was crushing his spirit all to his core, and he was not even religious before the war, but he was doing prayers. He was doing like a lot of enchantments. He was saying, "Please help me. I'll devote my life to you, God, if you help me through this." And that just really demonstrates that theme, and it connects to other literature from World War II, especially I would say Holocaust literature, because it could be compared to prisoner of war camps, because the Jewish population was abused and killed by the millions. And a lot of other literature, such as Night, that's an incredible book, and it really also connects to the same theme of this book, which is resilience and hope. We have other books such as All the Light We Cannot See. Also, we have the same themes occurring again and again, and it really just demonstrates how World War II was one of the most calamitous events in human history.
Thank you for your time, Dr. Rashanaganda. We're so grateful to have him on the set today and for his expertise.
Thank you for having me.
Now on the stage we have Laura Hillenbrand, the author of the book. Laura, we're so grateful to have you.
It's great to be here.
So, I want to ask you a few questions today. And first off, we're going to start with, what was your inspiration for writing this book? What was the main reason that you clamped on and wrote it?
So I first discovered Louis' story after looking over some newspapers from the 1930s, and after writing some letters to him, he called me and he told me about his story. So what inspired me to write about him was not only the terrible abuse and torture that he suffered in the camp, but more so, you have to read this part to find out, but the change he was able to make after going back home.
Beautiful. Yeah, we don't want to spoil it for everybody. What were some of the main themes and the purpose of reading this for a reader?
So one of the main themes I tried to build throughout the book was being determined and persisting despite all odds. So I first wrote about Louis as a child and how he had to be determined to gain the respect of his peers and later to survive on the raft despite having very little resources.
Yeah.
And also having to survive in the prison camp.
You know, when he was little, you talked about a little, you know, he started as a runner, and I'm sure lots of that emotion from being able to run those insane distances at such great speeds helped him when he was suffering in the prison camps and when he was running. You know, like I bet a lot of those were interchangeable just for him to survive. So I know that, you know, you couldn't cover all of Louis' story in one book, but why did you focus on the main points that you did?
So probably the main point that I focused on was Louis' time in the prison camp, and this was just to show how much torture Louis had to endure and how hard it would have been to make the change that he did.
Inhumane, really. Right? It's crazy. Well, thank you for coming here today and sharing your stories with us.
Thanks for having me.